Hi, welcome to my channel, Learning with Boys. Today I'm going to show you an inside look at the curriculum we are using from Heart of Dakota. Resurrection to Reformation is the guide we are using for my 6th grader this school year. I'm just going through his stuff. We actually have finished our school day, so I'm trying to make sure I have everything out to show you. I'm getting ready to open the guide up and just show you a week's worth of work and what it entails. Hi, welcome. My name is Rachel. I am a homeschool mom of 4 boys, and I have graduated too. We just finished up our 15th year of homeschooling, and this school year I have a 6th grader and 11th grader, and I just want to share with you a look inside the curriculum we are using from Heart of Dakota. Now, we are using some other things, and I will mention that along the way. I do have a 6th grade curriculum pick. I will link that below if you are interested in homeschooling videos. It would encourage me so much if you would subscribe and like this video. I do have videos on my 11th grader. I am going to be sharing in more detail some reviews on some of this. Right now I'm just going to give you a look on how it works and what is inside the guide and just looking at a week's worth. So let's turn the camera around and look inside. Okay, this is the book that we are going to be talking about today, and it's Heart of Dakota's Resurrection to Reformation. It is a complete curriculum, box curriculum. You can purchase it with every subject already scheduled in the guide. We use a lot of it, at least for this particular school year. I will point out the ones we will not be using. But I want to give you a look inside, and I do want to mention it does tell you that this is for ages 10 to 12. My son is 11. He was 11 in April, so he will be 12 this school year in April. And I feel like that is a good age because of the content and the books and some of the things that are talked about, that this is a good age. I do know this curriculum, you choose it by the abilities they have. You will look through a list and decide on where they are at in different subject matters, but at the same time, I feel like this is definitely a good age. He is in 6th grade, so I want to mention that also. I also want to mention at the very beginning, it gives all the book list, things you'll need, how for you as the parent, what you will be involved in and doing, so introduction and complete plans. And you can look all that up online. It also gives you the first week to look at. So we are going to look at week 3. It's actually called unit. And day 1, there are 4 days per unit. So you're doing school 4 days a week, which is nice. You can use that 5th day for anything you need. Sometimes we use it as a catch-up day. This side is history related, and this side is going to be everything else. As you can see, you have a Bible time, you have language arts. This will change, this box right here, and I'll mention this box also will change, and I'll show you that throughout the week. We have math and we have science. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, the math does give you an option, but it also says use your own. We use our own. Also for science, we are using our own science this school year. If you are interested in some of the other things I'm using for my 6th grader, I will link his curriculum picks video below, but I will share with you exactly what we're using from this book. All right, for history, you are going to have reading about history, and then you also, I should mention that they have these little boxes right here. So this would be independent. This would be teacher independent, sort of your choice. This is something the student can work on his own, but probably the parent would be good to facilitate that. And then here's something that can be independent. Their science can be independent. Student, obviously your parent most of the time at this age is around for math. Language arts, same thing, and I'll mention that because we are using their language arts. Bible time is independent, and art appreciation would be with the teacher. All right, so let's start over on this side with the history, and I'm going to go through this page each day of the week, and then I will come back to this page. So we will start with reading about history. We will start out with the spine. This is the first one, and that is something that sometimes it'll give you some notes. There's always key ideas if your student reads it and you want to know what's going on, you can read that. And then there is also a story time book. This is the second one. We've actually finished the first one, so maybe every 2 weeks that could be changed, depends on the book. There'll be some thicker ones, and then they actually will have some smaller ones. So this will probably take a couple weeks. So that is reading about history and story time. Then there's a project that will be different each week. This is something we are not doing, but it is also one of those things that you may look ahead and think, oh, well, we would like to do that one this week, or I'm not going to be able to get to that this week. It's one of those things that's just extra and enhances the study that you are doing. Okay, and then at the bottom is independent history study. This is for them to do on their own. I do want to mention something about these two boxes, because right now this says independent, which would be this book. And I am actually reading this book. And I am reading this book. Now, usually I start out that way and then I see how things go. And I'll mention a book that he is reading on his own towards the end of the week. So we're still looking at this side. We'll come back to this one in just a minute. This is day 2. Again, reading about history. And we are changing up our spine to this book, The Story of the Middle Ages. And we are still reading through this for story time. So I have read both of these books to him. And that is how we are working on that. Now you notice this box has changed. It actually will be different each day of the 4 days. Research, which they just give you something like this is Constantinople. And I usually sit down with my son and we do this together. I know it says independent and I know it says Wikipedia, but I'm just not comfortable with that. I will usually look up something for him, and then there's a card in his notebook page. I should have mentioned that they do. And I actually don't know if he did that this week. Oh, he did. So there's a postcard, and this is the notebook pages. I'll try to share more of these along as we're talking here. So we will reference this. So that was from day 1 in the research. They'll look this up and write a few things. And I usually do this with him. I'm just not ready for him to take that step of researching on his own yet, especially when it comes to the computer. Okay, and then geography. I showed you the reading about history and the story time. Again, the history project, it will continue to be related to the same thing all week. It won't change the project. You'll actually build on it and come up with something at the end of the week. And like I said, it'll be something new every week. Okay, I should also mention the independent study will change a little bit each day. So in the notebook in box 9, they want you to copy the following quote. So, and he did do that. And there's always key notes for everything that's going on. So you have an idea, he or she has an idea. So day 2, geography will be in this box, as I mentioned. And right now, and I'll show you some of the other geography books in a minute, he's just opening up this World Atlas book and looking through that. And it tells you exactly what page, what to be looking for. And then he actually will have some map work in the future. I'm just going to give you a peek at that he will actually do on his own. So I'm going to show you that. Okay, the next day for independent study, you will be listening to What in the World CDs. And it tells you what number and what they'll be listening to. Here is a picture of that. I don't have that down here. My son actually uses a CD player in his room and listens to it while he plays with Legos or is doing something else, is usually when he does that. So, all right, so day 3. And I did underline with my friction pen here that can erase. I did underline like when he is supposed to be writing in his journal here. So each time it says, like this says, under the picture in box 8. So he would just write the name of the person we're reading about that day. And I think it also mentions to look for Bethlehem, where about that would be on the map. And then, so there's reading here and story time again. Pearl and Peace. So it does change up on what he is reading. Once he is finished with these books, I have several other spines that he will be using throughout the school year. And you can actually see all those online here. When you look up the curriculum, it'll give you the set with all the spines, and then there's a separate section for storytime books. And then he will continue with the history project. Now here again, this box changes, and it is actually a timeline that they fill in their notebook. So each week there'll be boxes that they'll fill in for their timeline. So that's where it tells you exactly what to write, gives you what to draw. They can be as creative as they want with that. So, and then again, there was something to copy in the notebook in box 10, another quote. And it'll be different every week. Sometimes you might be listening to this CD several times a week. Sometimes you might be writing. Sometimes you might actually have an extra book down here that you're dealing with. So I will be giving updates. I'm actually in a couple weeks, I'll be giving a 6-week update on where we are at and how everything is going, not just Heart of Dakota, but the other curriculum we are using. Okay, and on day 4 for the reading about history, he actually will have this book, which I read, and this book I have been letting him read. So this is one of the first books with the reading about history that I am letting him read. You have this reading, and the reason this is so big is because it's a bigger writing project. In box 5, they want you to write an 8 to 12 sentence narration. Now it gives you lots of details on how to do this and what to do, and I'll show you something in the back that might help you. So, and that will all be in the notebook. And then you have another story time, and then in this box, like I said, it changes every day. On the last day, on the 4th day, they actually have a Shakespeare study, which comes with notebooking pages. Now, I want to talk a lot about this, but I'm going to actually mention this in our 6-week video on my thoughts on this. So, but that is day 4 that they do the Shakespeare study. So it is only once a week. And then down here, they're actually having you just go through a timeline that is in the front of this book, which I know that sort of seems tedious, but I think it's a good review. And it just gave us, sometimes we would discuss, oh yeah, do you remember that? Or do you remember this? So, and that's pretty much what you're doing, just remembering in order the things that you've been talking about. All right, so that is the week, the 4 days for that side. Okay, we're going to go back to day 1 and talk about this side of the page. Now they have a Bible quiet time. This box does not change. We do our own Bible, so I haven't paid much attention to it, and you can look up the curriculum and what they use and read about it on their website. For language arts, they use several different things, and that sort of changes on what work they will be doing. A couple things is the medieval history based writing lessons from IEW. This is his first year doing IEW. So, and on the first day I noticed they have drawn into the heart of reading. Now, we have not really done this to a point, and I am going to explain more about that in the future videos on my thoughts on this. So, that is only day 1 of language arts, and for the medieval history, it does give you exactly what to do, tells you do only like number 1, gives you exact directions. So that is nice. And then in this box will change. They actually have art appreciation, and they are using this book, and you only read like 2 pages maybe at the most out of here, and give you some key ideas and other things to read about for art. They do have science, give you complete directions. We have used their science before. We are using something different this year just because we had another opportunity to try something that I will share with you more in the future. And math, we use our own, which is Matthew C. So let's see. On day 2, again, Bible, language arts. It'll be a little bit different. You'll use the IEW again, but then you'll also be using this for grammar, which is rod and staff. We're using following the plan, which is English 5. They actually give the option for English 6. So we're just following exactly what it says to do. Science, again, they have the directions for that. Math, and then a devotional Bible study, which we have been doing that. I highly recommend this book, even if you don't use this curriculum. These books by Bob Schultz are great. So they use these mostly starting in the middle school years, even into high school. My high schooler is reading one of his books. All right, so day 3, Bible, language arts, drawn into the heart of reading again, and then the IEW on day 3. Devotional studies, a little bit different. It's not reading out of that book again, but it's actually copying something out of that book into a commonplace book after you're reading some scripture. We have not done that. I just knew that we would not keep up with that. There's a lot of other writing. I think it's a great idea, but I just have to be realistic on what we are going to be doing this school year. I think that's everything else is the same. And then on day 4, everything else is the same, except they have poetry. Language arts will be drawn into the heart of reading, and today it'll be grammar. So you're not doing IEW today on day 4. And that's pretty much how that will run throughout the school year. Now, the poetry is actually in the back of this guide. I think it's the very last thing. And they're all by Emily Dickinson. So here would be 3. And it gives you directions on what to read and what to say and do. And I will also show you a few other things back here. They do give you the story time titles, like we are reading Mystery of the Silver Coin. It will show you that book and give you details about it. But they also have the extensions. They talk about all the books in the extensions and what units you want to read them through. Now this is if you have someone older, like a 7th or 8th grader doing this curriculum, you can add in these extra books. Other things, it really talks about how to do the narration. There's tips, all kinds, before, during, after narration, some other tips. And they also have dictation passages. Instead of spelling, this is what they're going to be using. They give you specific directions on that and how that works. We are using a spelling program, so we are not doing that this school year. This is good, though. It is good. And then the poetry. So that is everything with the Heart of Dakota program, Resurrection to Reformation. I hope that sort of helped anybody that might have some questions. If there was something I missed or you had a detailed question about, please comment below. I'd love to talk to you about it. So I do appreciate you all watching, and I will be sharing, like I said, more in depth of all the curriculum we're using for my 6th grader, give you an update in a couple weeks, and keep you posted throughout the year of how things are going. Because a lot of these books, like the story time and the spines, they're going to change throughout the year. I think I share all of them in my curriculum pick. I just quickly go through them so you can see what they are. All right, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you again soon.